Let's make some pumpkin tiramisu. This is an incredibly easy dessert to make, so don't be intimidated if you have never made tiramisu. It's my birthday this weekend, so it only makes sense to share my favorite dessert with you all. Tiramisu I absolutely love. Definitely my choice of birthday cake. This recipe is just perfect. Alright, so in one bowl, you will gather 8 ounces of this fancy cheese. I don't know how to pronounce it and I'm not going to try. So 8 ounces in one bowl. And this is going to make a good amount of tiramisu. 8 ounces happens to be this entire container, so it's perfect. You don't have to measure it in this case. You want this cheese to be softened at room temperature. This is really the key ingredient to making tiramisu. So as of now, I don't know how to make it vegan and for it to actually taste like authentic tiramisu. Next, you need 7.5 ounces of pumpkin puree. I use the Libby brand, I believe that's how you say it, but you can use any brand, just letting you know that's what I used for the pumpkin puree. Using a spatula, you want to make sure that you combine these together, mix, make sure that you mix them well. So one of my favorite things about tiramisu is that this is a no-bake dessert, so it makes it even easier. Next, you are going to add 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Then you will add 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons of light brown sugar. Make sure that it is packed tightly. Gently give that a mix using your spatula, and then you're going to add a couple spices. So I like to add ground nutmeg and your pumpkin pie spice because of course this is pumpkin tiramisu. You will add 1 1/2 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, as well as 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. But this is optional. I just like to add it because I like the taste. It gives it a little oomph. Gently mix in the spices, and then you will add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. This is the brand that I'm using. Okay, affordable brand in this economy. Okay, great value. So yeah, doesn't matter what brand you use really, as long as it's heavy whipping cream. Using your spatula, gently stir in the heavy cream. Make sure that it's fully incorporated because we're about to whip it up using the handheld electric mixer, or you can use your stand mixer if you have one. So using your electric mixer, start mixing this on low speed to avoid any splashing. Gradually increase to high speed until the texture is thick and fluffy. You'll mix for about a minute. Okay, do not overdo it. As you can see here, this is what your texture should look like. It should be like this airy, fluffy kind of texture, you know, it's not like a doughy or anything like that. Look at this, so perfect. So the next step is that you want to prepare your coffee. Now, ideally, you want to use strongly brewed coffee such as espresso, or if you don't have an espresso machine or whatever, because I don't either, you can use an instant espresso. And as you can see, I'm actually using cold brew because I just happen to have it and I really like the taste of this cold brew, and I feel like it's pretty strong. It's not espresso, but it's pretty strong coffee and I like the taste, so why not? Okay, but you can also use that instant espresso that I just showed you. That's just one example. So you want about a 1/2 cup of cooled coffee. All right, the second most important ingredient of tiramisu is something called ladyfingers. These are pretty pricey, to be honest, in this economy. Okay, they really were, and they were hard to find. I mean, I ordered them, to be honest, at Instacart, and I could only find them in one store near me, but I used 1 whole pack and then some of a second pack, so I'm glad that I picked up 2. The amount of ladyfingers that you will need will depend on the size of your tray. You will see what I mean here in a few. So the next step is that you need to pour your cool coffee into a container that is shallow enough to dip these ladyfingers in. And then you have your container in which you will serve your tiramisu. You want to quickly dip each ladyfinger into your coffee and then just pull it right out. You want to make sure that the ladyfingers are coated with the coffee but not soaked, and this is to prevent sogginess. You don't want a very soggy tiramisu. So as you can see me doing here, you want to arrange a layer of soaked ladyfingers, just one layer to start off. Like I said, depending on your tray size will depend how many ladyfingers you end up using, but it's never wrong to grab, an extra pack just in case you end up needing more. So as you can see here, I have kind of an awkward sized pan, and so I ended up cutting some of the ladyfingers to fit those little gaps. The next step is that you will fill half of your pumpkin filling on top of your first layer of those soaked ladyfingers. I ended up using half of the recipe, if that makes sense, because I figured, hey, I have this small awkward little pan, I'm going to make 2 tiramisus. And you'll see my other tray, my second one, is actually smaller than this, so it all worked out for me. Make sure that you spread out that filling evenly because you want it to be flat so that you can lay over your second layer of soaked ladyfingers. You're going to do the same thing that you did at the beginning, just dip them in real quick and place them on top of that pumpkin filling. Now you will add your other half of your pumpkin filling on top of that second layer of the ladyfingers. As you can see, so very, very simple. Make sure that this last layer is also all evenly flat, because after this, we're going to top it off with some whipping cream. But before that, you want to refrigerate this for a few hours. The longer the better, like 3 to 5 hours. But if you're impatient like I was, 30 minutes will do. You basically want the tiramisu to set before you top it off with the whipping topping. Whipping topping, whip topping, I don't know, tomato, right? Okay, you can skip over this part if you want, because I'm just going to repeat the process for my second tray, or you can stick with me, okay? So this is the other size that I used for my serving tray. As you can see, it is much smaller, but altogether this worked perfectly for this amount of recipe. This size is honestly so perfect to make for a friend or a loved one or dessert for a meal. I love that with tiramisu, with any cake really, you can use any shape that you would like. The thing is, because ladyfingers are pretty hard to cut, when you cut a ladyfinger, there's going to be crumbs everywhere. It's a very crummy cookie. I think it's considered a cookie. Yeah, okay. And so that's the thing you have to take into consideration when you are choosing, the tray that you're going to use for tiramisu. Look at how beautiful this looks. And then I just pop this in the fridge as well, just to allow it to set. Once your tiramisu has set in the fridge for a few hours, now it is ready to be topped off with whipped topping. This is the kind that I got, just a basic Kroger brand. Or you can also make your own whipped topping. It's pretty easy to make. You can look it up if you prefer that method. But you could also just buy it and it already comes all whipped up for you. And so basically you just want to apply a layer at the top of, that pumpkin filling layer. And you can apply as much as you would like or as little as you would like. I did an average amount. I love whipped toppings, so I love it. I really do. And so I just went ahead and did this little movement with the spoon to create kind of this little texture on top, It kind of looks like mini waves, like ocean waves. Once you have spread the whipped topping evenly over the tiramisu, now you're going to grab your chocolate, or you can also use that instant espresso or cocoa powder It's up to you, but because it is pumpkin tiramisu and not your regular tiramisu, I think that chocolate pairs a little better than, let's say, cocoa powder. It's really up to you. As you can see, I went ahead and went with that 70% cocoa bar. That is one of my absolute favorite chocolate bars to bake with. I just absolutely love the flavor. It's just so good. It's so rich. And 70% is very key. I went ahead and used a grater to make these chocolate shavings, and it looks very beautiful, very appetizing as well, I should say. Okay, I love chocolate, so I went a little crazy here, and it's really up to you how much whipped topping you'd like to add, how much chocolate you'd like to add on top, or if you're doing the cocoa powder or the sifted espresso. If you choose either of the other two, just make sure that you do sift it so that it's not all clumpy. I went ahead and topped off my second container the same way that I did my first one, and that is it. That is all. That is how you make pumpkin tiramisu, but not just any pumpkin tiramisu, literally the best. Okay, this was so incredible. It was so amazing. Like, I'm thinking about making this many more times, okay? If you're still watching this, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It means so much that you are here joining me on my channel, and I look forward to sharing many more recipes with you all. If you gave this recipe a try, please comment below. How did it turn out for you? Did you enjoy it? I hope you make this recipe and share it with a loved one, or enjoy it all by yourself. I don't blame you. So thank you so much for joining me here today on my channel. Please subscribe and comment below.